Hey everybody, this edition of Lionheart Radio is brought to you by the world's first creatine coffee. Each scoop is a full cup of a Colombian Arabica bean coffee infused with 5 grams of a creatine monohydrate. Now here's the deal, guys. A lot of people have differing opinions about creatine, and unfortunately a lot of really shitty supplement companies have tried to sell it to kids that want to get big, and they package it as some kind of steroid alternative, and they tell you if you cycle it and if you stack it, then you'll gain a bunch of muscle mass. And at the end of the day, none of that is true. What is true is that it's one of the most studied and beneficial supplements on the market for strength, recovery, and endurance. So whether you're a runner, whether you are a strength athlete, or whether you're somebody that wants to enhance cognitive function and just feel healthier in everyday life, a pharmaceutical-grade creatine monohydrate is going to help get you there. Go to www.creatinecoffee.com to learn what all the hype is about. And now, on to the show. All right, welcome back to Lionheart Radio. I'm your host, Rick Alexander, founder of Lou Aviv, based in San Diego, California. And today I am in San Marcos, California, and I'm joined by George, founder of GB3 Athletics, which is like online programming for CrossFitters. Also the co-founder of CrossFit Double Barrel, which is where we're at right now, and team head coach for SOFlete, which is correct me if I'm wrong, but tactile athlete conditioning programming and resources.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly what it goes.
Thanks for being on, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Thanks for inviting me.
So just telling you pre-show, what kind of turned me on to everything that you're doing in the first place was that you were programming for one of our company's models or athletes, Kaylee Wagner.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of online programming for CrossFit.
Yeah.
And you have clients that you actually just program for?
Correct, yes.
And do you do that on an individual basis, or is that templated?
That's all individual base.
Okay, so people come to you, they pay you, and you actually you program based on their weaknesses and their strengths.
Yeah, it's actually a full process that I do with them. It starts off with obviously email back to back, kind of get a feel for them. And then from there, I do about a 30 to a 60-minute consultation via FaceTime, Skype, however else, just kind of get a feel for them.
Okay.
And to kind of get that buy-in of the athlete and the coach relationship and seeing if they're going to be a good fit for GB3 Athletics. Again, it's my brand, it's my athletes. I want to be able to push that. So I go ahead and go that route.
You're selective.
I'm very selective on it. Again, like I said, I'm not someone that's just going to go ahead and start taking all these athletes in. Mm-hmm. We got to be able to make sure that we work well together because I'm looking at the long term of the athlete and the longevity of their goals and setting expectations that way.
Yeah, sure.
So
what's your background? How did you get started?
So my background actually, I was in the Marine Corps as a special ops guy for about 8 years, 8.5
Marine
years.
Recon?
Marine Recon, yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So I did that. I got into the strength conditioning aspect for athletes after my deployment from Afghanistan. Ended up becoming an instructor for the schoolhouse at Basic Reconnaissance Course, which is up in San Clemente on Camp Pendleton.
There's a BRC down in Coronado as well.
Oh, well, so that's actually the same one. There's 3 phases of BRC. Phase 1 is going to be the land nav phase, pool phase, everything that they do up here in Camp Pendleton. Phase 2, they end up going down to Coronado and doing their amphib phase, which they learn all the learn pretty much nautical navigation on the boats, surf passages, everything you can do in the ocean is what they do. And then the 3rd phase goes into patrolling phase, which is going to be up in Camp Pendleton also.
It's crazy how similar it is between all of the different special warfare selection programs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're essentially kind of looking for the same build, the same character, the same mold.
Yeah, that's something we've actually talk a lot of times. Everyone's asking me hey, so how's selection for BRC? Is it a year long? Is it only 12 weeks long? Whatever else because you look at SOCOM and you look at the SEALs, they go through buds. From buds, they go through free fall, dive. They go through their whole pre-training stuff before they even get to the teams.
Right.
All that good stuff. But as for the recon side of things, you go through BRC, you graduate as a basic reconnaissance man. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah. And then when you get to your units, depending if you go to 1st, 2nd, 3rd, you go from there. Once you're there, then depending on what your need for the team, they'll send you to that, which either will be SEER school, obviously, basic jump, free fall, and then you got dive, scout snipers, Pathfinder, you can name it, you can do all this kind of thing.
Would you program for people that are interested in going in let's say, because a lot of people are like, my aspiration in life is to be a Navy SEAL or Marine Recon or whatever that is. Would you program for those people as well, or are you just athletes?
No. So I actually do that too. So I do have a GB3 combat athlete side of things too. So I don't only just CrossFit or for CrossFitters. I also do it for weightlifters. I have quite a few national weightlifters under my belt, American Open lifters, junior national, and some youth weightlifters under my belt that I have coached and brought up. And I'm also doing combat athlete programming for athletes who are looking to go,
to some selection.
I have actually currently right now, I have one kid who's actually was in-house with me. He's actually at BRC now. I have another kid who's at boot camp right now. I have another kid who's getting ready to get picked up to go to boot camp for the Navy. He is a BUD/S contract. He's doing really well with that. I got a couple guys right now who are looking to go SARC. So I got quite a bit of athletes that I am programming for combat individually wise.
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's good and bad. So as fitness has evolved and grown, partly in CrossFit and whatever, fitness has grown exponentially in the last decade.
Oh yeah.
And with that though, the tactical fitness has grown, and the tactical athlete. And what I like about, I guess, SOFlete and your stuff, and what I dislike about some of the bigger brands, and I don't want to shit on them here, but the people that are head programming and in working for these companies have never been, quote unquote, a tactical athlete. Yeah. And for me, it's like, dude, if you haven't been through a selection, how could you possibly get somebody ready for it?
No, that's true. There's a type of mindset that you have to have for it, and for you to relay that to the athlete who's getting ready to go through it. I mean, how do you say it? There's kids that have come to me to do training here, and I've actually turned them away because of their first day with me. And it's not like I try and haze these kids or put them through this hard thing. Mm-hmm. I literally do an assessment on them. Yep. From there, I go ahead and just see how they would do on their pull-ups or push-ups and their run time. And I mean, I've put over 5,000 students through BRC the 4.5 years I was at the schoolhouse. What kids can do it and what kids can't. And that's easy for me to do here now. And that's, again, I can sit there and be like, all right, you're not set out for this. You might want to change your mindset on this and do it this way. Mm-hmm. Again, you have kids who are in the middle, and you can actually change that. And that's when you give them that time and that credibility. All right, hey, look, let's go ahead and do this for a couple weeks or a couple months. If I don't see a change in this, I'm going to let you go. But if I do see a change, then let's go ahead and keep pushing, and you do have that possibility of graduating. Right.
Yeah, that's the same thing for me. I spent 4 years at the BUD schoolhouse and with the SWIC selection, and same thing. You start building, you start figuring out a profile for these people that have it or don't have it. Yeah. Do you look for the same thing in your CrossFit athletes as you do for your
yes, because
mindset and that
mindset-wise, you do need it. For you to be that next level of a CrossFitter nowadays, you have to have that mindset of knowing that you're going to have to go to a very dark place at certain times and be okay with it. So when I say go to a dark place, for instance,
the pain cave.
The pain cave, I we'll have to use the pain cave. That's what it is.
Yeah,
you have to be really fucking uncomfortable to be there and get to the next level. If you're not okay with getting your heart rate spiked over 95% and knowing that you have to knock out, let's say 55 wall balls unbroken or whatever else in a workout for you to get to that next level or to get you that extra rep or extra spot in whatever competition you're at. I mean, for instance, use a CrossFit Open right now. Two reps can change you between 50 to 100 places.
Right.
Because of the time breaker. Mm-hmm. So do you have that mental capacity to be able to, knowing that you have 10 seconds left in the workout and to knock out 2 reps of whatever it is? I'm not going to lie to you. I have an athlete who's looking to go, who wants to, his aspirations is to go to the CrossFit Games as a Masters.
Sure.
Does he have potential? Yes, but it's going to take a couple more years. For instance, he had 11 seconds his first time going through the workout, or he had 11 seconds left on the workout, and he legitly dropped the bar with 11 seconds left on the push press.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think about that. Push presses, 2 seconds to do a push press. He could have gotten 4 to 5 more reps on that if he had just held onto the bar and been okay with the pain cave. So it's one of those things where you have to be very uncomfortable and okay with being uncomfortable to get to that next level. And looking at the combat athlete or the tactical athlete, you go through certain things where you're so uncomfortable and you're there's the unknowing that you don't know. And if you do not, how do you say it? If you're not okay with the unknowing, you're not going to make it through. For instance, you get put inside of a small box and you don't even know how long you're in there for. You don't know what's going to happen. Or for instance, I close the doors, turn the lights off. Your eyes are blindfolded now. Noises are going off. That hits you it hits you mentally a whole nother level. Takes you out of your comfort zone. But at the end of the day, when you walk away from that, you just put yourself thugh something that you never thought you were going to do. Yeah. It's kind of the same way I kind of look at my CrossFitters. Is like, hey, I need you to have that kind of mindset and knowing when you go into this workout, it's going to hurt. Yeah. You're going to hit the pain cave and be okay with the unknown. And you're going to be surprised what can happen.
That's a good point. When you start changing somebody's sensory perception, you can take them out of a comfort zone real fucking fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and that's that level now, because someone I just picked up another athlete, and she's actually a really top level CrossFitter in the area. And she did, you know, she's at that level to where she doesn't no longer needs to, like, her programming is going really well. She knows what her body can do. But for her to get to that next level or keep pushing and be better, she has to be taken out of her comfort zone and put into something else. You know, same thing. I mean, I think they talked about, I forgot there was an article that I read or a video I watched talking about Kobe Bryant. If Kobe Bryant has been in multiple situations that are stressful, where he has to, like, win the game. Right? Well, am I going to go ahead and put him in that same situation or have him shoot 3-pointers and free throws over and over again for him to get better in that kind of situation? No. I'm going to want to change the way his mind thinks. So now we got to put him either into a pool, we got to put him into some kind of...
I see what you're saying. So you're saying stretch their comfort zone in a different way. So that, adversity is like...
Adversity, right? So they learn how to adapt to the adversity that's coming towards their way.
That's kind of like Michael Phelps, coach. I don't know if you ever heard about this, but like when Michael Phelps was competing, because obviously the Olympics is one every 4 years, but, they have the World Championships and all these different competitions throughout the year. And Michael Phelps' coach was constantly fucking with him, like fucking with his goggles, like all these different things. And then when he gets in the Olympics and his goggles fall off when he's swimming, it's like business as usual.
Yep.
And he knows how to react to that adverse situation.
Just multiple scenarios that are going on around him that he doesn't have to worry about because he's been in it before. Right. So it's just taking that comfort zone and just extending it even further.
Something I would see, and I don't know if you saw the same thing at being an instructor at a selection, but we would get these kids that would come there who were like Harvard Division I football players, and they had, went to Harvard, so they probably had a 4.0 their entire life, probably came from an affluent family and had money, and got to a selection where the instructors are shitting on them. Everything is adverse in that situation. Like, it's physically, mentally, everything hurts, and they quit because they've been so good at life and so conditioned to just knock shit out and nail it their whole life. And everyone their entire life has told them, like, oh, you're good, man, you've crushed it, or, you were meant for this, or whatever. And then they get in this adverse situation and they fucking quit.
Dude, I call that a sense of entitlement.
Yeah,
that's absolutely what I call that right away. Who I see that from a lot of times when I was at the schoolhouse was officers.
Yeah.
Officers used to come through.
Right.
And they'd see these corporals and lance corporals and PFCs who've been going through MART, which is Marine Awaiting Recon Training, who have been in that for 8 weeks, who have just pretty much been through the ringer and nothing can phase them, and these officers are coming from the fleet where they just got either graduated, officers training school, or they've just been in the fleet and they're not the combat side of things. They've sitting behind their desk the whole time and they've been through their own little training for it. And realistically, it was they only pushed their certain pain, and they come in all of a sudden and see these students that are younger than them, lower ranking than them, that are just smoking them, and these guys just quit mentally because they get beat down because of the way these guys are handling it. And they're just like, holy cow. I mean, I've seen lance corporals and PFCs in the schoolhouse,
which are like the enlisted lower rank,
enlisted lower rank, who have come over and just pretty much taken charge of an officer's position, in a team leader's position, has done night and day from grading patrols. Again, I call that a sense of entitlement. If you have come in here with a sense of entitlement, you're not going to get very far.
Yeah. And that's not specific to the military either. Like with being a business owner, like if you want to be successful in life, like an entitlement mentality is going to be the most crippling thing that you could possibly, try to get rid of.
Yeah.
Because, if the world owes you something, you're not going to go out and take anything.
No, not at all. I talked about that. I was talking with that. I actually wrote a blog about that previously. I just posted another one. Well, my very first one I put up just recently, back like on the 10th of March, talked about 2016. I got really comfortable with where I was at.
Yeah.
Athletes are doing really well. I was doing really well as an athlete and as a coach. The business was running really well. We were going places. It's growing. And I got really comfortable.
Yep.
And I started having this sense of entitlement. And it was like, wait a minute. I mean, the back end of 2016, right before 2017, I was like, wait a minute. Sat in my house for a while and kind of thought about it for a few hours and came to the point where it was like, hey, I haven't done shit. I haven't earned nothing.
Yeah. And you have to tell yourself that.
And I have to treat every single day as if I'm starting at the bottom of that mountain and still climbing up. That's how it is. Every morning I wake up every morning like I'm at the bottom of that mountain. It's time to keep climbing, no matter what. Again, if I'm not trying to ruin myself or whatever else, someone else is trying to. So if I know if I can work and bust my ass and keep climbing the mountain as hard as I can, no one's going to beat me to it. I just got to keep doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, I don't know. The way that I phrase it is like that's why I started ultra running actually, is like I just have to kick myself in the nuts because I have to humble myself.
Yeah.
I have to, in those experiences, that realization that like, okay, you are at the bottom of the mountain. That's what's going to propel you in growth. Like,
Yep.
that's what's going to make you a better athlete, coach, business owner, whatever it is that you want to be in life.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that I strive on now. It's like I'm on the bottom of the mountain every morning, and I got to keep climbing that bad boy.
Right. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
that's just how it goes.
So for those people that, a lot of people, they'll find CrossFit and they haven't been athletic in their life, and they'll find CrossFit and they're like, oh shit, I am an athlete.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll discover that about themselves. But if you haven't been, that's one of the good things about sport growing up specifically, is with kids that play sports, it puts them in adverse situations, especially things like wrestling and football. And I'm sure there's the same thing for women's sports.
Oh, yeah.
But is there a way, can that mentality be fostered?
Yes.
You think
I really
mental
believe.
toughness is something because a lot of people feel like you either have it or you don't.
That's a hard one to discuss. Some people will agree with me and some people won't agree with me.
Yeah.
But I do believe that mental toughness can be instilled in somebody. Actually, I talked about this like a year and a half ago with somebody, and we were talking about that. We sat and talked about it, and we were like, hey, how do you train, your guys to build mental toughness? And, I talked about my side and he talked about his side. And some of the most simplest things and sticking to the basics will build mental toughness. Somebody doesn't like to sit there and row for 90 minutes. You're going to put someone on the rower for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
No music, no TV.
Yep.
Hey, just row. I just want you to row for 90 minutes. You do that for 90 minutes, you're going to sit there and start thinking of things and like, do I really want to quit? Do I really want to do something? What is my why? Why am I doing this to myself for 90 minutes? I can be out with my friends right now doing this and doing that. And I think once they complete something like that, that's simple. You can't tell me that doesn't build mental toughness. I mean, that's a simple way to do it, right? That built mental toughness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, can you instill mental toughness in somebody? Yes. To a certain extent and to a certain level, yes. And then the rest of it comes from them.
They have to find it at some point.
They have to find their why, is what I call it. Find your why. And it's not just because I want to go to the CrossFit Games or because I want to be this.
Yep.
There's a deeper why of why you're coming in here and training every single day. We did an exercise with our coaches here a while back. My business partner brought it up, and he did, and I really loved it. And it's actually something I do now with my athletes whenever I pick a new athlete up. And he goes in and asks us, hey, what's your first why? So you put down your first why. And then the second one was, all right, what is the why to that? And the next one was, what is the why to that? And after a while, you're in this deep, deep place in your mind and in yourself. You're like, holy cow, like I just came out with this. So now you can kind of teach the athlete to stem all the way down and be like, okay, this is your real why. When you get into that dark pain cave place, start checking off those boxes to help you get through what you need to do.
You have to drill down on your purpose in order to do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Such as that. The very first business workshop that I went to when I first started Louis Vive, that was like one of the questions. It was like, what is your why? And I'm like, dude, I want fuck you money. I want a business because I want hookers and cocaine. What do you mean why? Like, I want a fucking Ferrari. I don't know. And you just find out quickly that like those more materialistic or topical whys, they're not going to be enough to get you through the hard times that you're actually going to have to go through in order to get where you're trying to go.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I can sit here and be like, hey, I want all the money in the world so I can go and party and go everywhere else I want.
Yeah.
But realistically, like, that's not going to get me to where I really want to go.
Right.
Like you said,
it won't be enough when
will
times are like fucking brutal, right?
Yeah. I mean, especially like I talked about that time when I said like I thought I had everything, and now I started like seeing, like I started feeling like I was losing stuff, and I'm like, all right, what do I need to do to change, and what I got to do is sacrifice this, and that's what it comes down to. Are you able to sacrifice to get what you want?
Yeah,
that's what it is, right?
Right.
So yeah,
and that's like the whole Gary Vaynerchuk thing. It's like work like someone's trying to take it away from you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
That's
like
that mindset.
Keeping yourself humble.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite entrepreneurs right there for sure. I think that's a lot of people.
Gary V. Yeah, he's definitely on the
the list up there.
Yeah, on the roster. So, and you were pre-show also talking about an article on stress that you just wrote.
Yeah, so I just wrote an article on stress. So I do a lot of stuff with HRV right now, which is heart rate variability. I'm not gonna get too in depth with it, but it's just another tool or another piece of the puzzle to help with an athlete's recovery. And also, as a coach who does online programming and remote programming, I'm not there with the athlete. I can't see what their sleep is like, what their life is like, what stress is outside of there. But what's cool about HRV is that it actually tracks the CNS, all right, central nervous system. It tracks the parasympathetic side, sympathetic side, it tracks the heart rate, and it tracks the way the brain goes too. Okay. Everything is connected together. And it's super simple. You wake up in the morning, you wear a heart rate monitor, connect through your phone, and it takes your heart rate for the morning.
Because there are apps now.
There are apps now.
Okay.
There's quite a few of them out there. There's Elite HRV. There's HRV Training.
Yep.
Sweet Beat. There's multiple apps out there that you can actually use that use multiple Bluetooths. And it realistically, it's just more of a short-term reading to go ahead and give you pretty much just tendencies of what's going on every day. Again, because when I talk about stress, there's multiple sources of stress. Mentally, physically, emotionally, socially, even what you eat, right?
Stressing the body.
It's just whatever you put into your body, it just stresses the body, right? Mm-hmm. Stress is pretty much the most simple way we can keep it is anything that challenges or changes the body.
Okay.
Or kind of causes some kind of change or
like
challenge.
A physiological change.
Yeah. Okay. Right? And that's just stress. That's how we kind of look at it.
Okay.
So what's cool, I like to use HRV. But I just wrote an article talking about stress and how we can perceive it and how we can control it. And we were talking before the show today was a lot of people end up going and seeing unplanned stress as a negative effect. Mm-hmm. And whenever you have too much negative effect or negative stress, it leads to chronic disorders. It leads to chronic diseases, which can be deadly. But you can control what you can control, right? You can only control what you can control is what we kind of like to say. So the unplanned stress, for instance, let's say you came in today to do our podcast. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden your podcast, your computer doesn't want to turn on.
Yep, happened this morning.
Right? So it happened this morning. Yep. So how did you perceive that? You could have been like, shit.
Right.
Like, I got to go, fuck, I have 2 podcasts to do today. What am I fucking going to do? Like, right. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Fuck, today's screwed. Or are you going to be like, all right, cool. Calm down. Did I go through the proper procedures to like make sure my computer starts and make sure everything is okay? If I did that, what's next? Now, instead of letting it control you in the negative way, it barely bothered you too much. You're like, all right, cool, this is what happened. It got to work. Obviously, we wouldn't be doing the podcast like that.
Right.
And then the planned type of stress we talk about is a training cycle, right? Where I can control load, frequency, and intensity.
Yep.
And so that's a good kind of stress. Right, that's the kind of stress I want to induce on the body. Again, everyone hears stress and they think it's bad. It's not. You can actually use stress to your advantage and actually utilize it in the great way and see potential in other areas of life, health, performance. Seeing how you can actually get into something without being able to take it negative and turn it into a positive effect, like I was talking about. Right. So the plan side of things, we go back to training. What I was talking about. Let's say, for instance, this week you're supposed to snatch up to 80% for 5 singles.
Okay.
Right? I see that you're moving slower. I can actually adjust the training load and the frequency of that and the intensity and actually drop it down to 75%. Mm-hmm. I just controlled the stress that's going to be induced on your body because of something else that was out there. That was an example of planned and unplanned stress.
Right.
But I'm actually utilizing it and turning it into a good positive effect on your body. So you're able to come back and lift tomorrow even better or down the road.
So my understanding of, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but heart rate variability, the variability in your heart rate is going to tell you whether your body is experiencing a lot of those stresses.
Correct.
And whether it's recovered from those stresses.
Yes.
Can you, because we've actually tried on this podcast and we kind of failed at it before, but can you explain heart rate variability at all?
Yeah, I can. Okay. Yeah. So heart rate variability, the most simple way I can say it, the definition of it is going to be the time between your heartbeats. Okay. All right. Which is our intervals. So a lot of times what happens is, what it does is it takes a reading of the time between your heart rate, and it gives you a score after 3 to 5 minutes. And with that score, when you look at it, you want to be in the green. Green means good. Yellow means okay. Mm-hmm. Red means bad.
With the app.
Yep. And then it has a number that you want to go off of.
Okay.
A lot of times what happens is a lot of people think that the time between your heartbeats are going to be the same. When they're not. Your heart is not a metronome.
Right.
All right. It's not at all. It has different times between your heartbeats. So that's what the heart rate variability tracks, the variability of that, right? So what happens is whatever you induce on yourself the day prior, it's letting you know the next morning when you wake up how well your body recovered off of that. So heart rate variability pretty much just goes ahead and lets you know how well you're recovering through the stress you induced the day prior or the day after that. And what's cool about heart rate variability is it actually not something you just look at day by day. You can look at a graph. Like I track a couple athletes right now, and I can see tendencies throughout a full month and be like, all right, hey, like what's the training load look like? What does this look like? All right, cool. What was going on outside of the gym? Life.
Right.
So I can adjust it and see we can go from there to help your body recover faster. Heart rate variability is just like I said, it's just another piece of the tool that lets you go ahead and see how well recovery is.
And it will make the training that you do more effective.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Like a lot of times you'll walk into the gym, at least I've noticed this, and you go to pick up a barbell and it just feels heavy. Like it literally just feels heavy.
Yep.
And a lot of times that's because, yes, okay, you've recovered from your last workout in the sense that your heart rate is down, you know, you've eaten, you've slept, whatever. But it could be that a collective of all these different stresses,
which is putting you into a sympathetic state, right? The goal is to keep the body, which is your fight or flight CNS.
Right.
The goal is to go ahead and have the athlete or have the person in a parasympathetic state, which is your rest recovery.
Prior to starting training.
But the goal is to actually be in a longer state of parasympathetic state, longer to help with recovery. So the longer I'm in a parasympathetic state before going into training or whatever else, I'm going to be able to continue training how I want. Again, we look at CrossFitters, right? CrossFitters think that they should be going 100% all the time.
Right.
Well, what ends up happening to them, it leads into overtraining. Why? Because they're in a sympathetic state 24/7, and which ends up leading them down the road, ends up overtraining. They can't train no more. They get hurt. They have health problems. There's a lot of things that come from it. So what's cool with the HRV is it gives me a reading and lets me know, hey, am I too sympathetic today, or am I just balanced enough to where you're ready to rock and roll? You can also be way too parasympathetic, which means you're recovering way too much, or you're about to overtrain.
Yeah.
Right? So the goal is to, again, have it in the balance.
Yeah.
Again, there's days where you're too sympathetic, might be good for you depending on what you're going into for the day, for the workout, whatever else. And there's days when you're too parasympathetic.
Yeah.
The goal is just to keep them both in the middle and have that balance every day you come into the gym. Again, is it possible to have that balance? In a perfect world, you're not going to. But if you can control sleep, control what you're eating, control training, control stress outside of life, you can find that balance.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
That's something for people to think about too. Like I talked to a buddy who signed up for a marathon, and he didn't train like he was supposed to, and he tried to start training. He's like, well, I got 2 weeks out, I might as well try to get all this volume in. And I'm like, dude, you're at the point where you can never go back and get more training. So you're at the point where just don't do anything. Like, just go into the marathon as rested as you can.
Yeah.
And just try to get it.
Yeah, because now his body's going to be his body probably didn't recover fast enough. And when he went into the race, probably he was beat up too much.
Right. Are you familiar with Jim Jones?
Yeah.
The guys that trained the 300 crew is kind of how they got popular. I remember reading an article from them a while ago on their blog about how there's no such thing as overtraining. There's only under recovering.
Yeah, see, that's a hard thing for me because I believe there is overtraining, and there is a such thing as under recovery, right? Mm-hmm. Under recovering pretty much means you're not doing anything at all, so you end up taking your body from being in this athletic state, and when you don't do anything for a certain time period, you become very unathletic.
Yeah. Right,
and unconditioned, right? The sensors in your body, the CNS, and the tension in your body, and all that stuff ends up changing to where you're not going to be able to perform. Being overtrained means you're just in a high tension position to where I need to kind of get you back to the middle again. That's what it's going to. We talk about tension. We talk about the CNS. It's all about having that balance in the body. So is there everything called, no such thing as called overtraining? I think that's bullshit. Right. I think an athlete can overtrain. And usually that comes down to, and I'm going to say this out, and I'll take blame for some of this too. I've had an athlete where I've overtrained and burnt out. I think all coaches have.
It's part of the process.
Yeah, right.
Of learning to be a good
coach tells you they've never overtrained an athlete and never burnt an athlete out. They're calling that's bullshit. I call bullshit on you.
Right.
It's just part of that, right? But if you're able to see that, and again, an athlete getting ready to overtrain, you look at it, right? All right, how's your sleep? Oh, you're not sleeping like you're waking up in the middle of the night. Do you have pain in your elbow? Do you have pain in your back? Where do you having pain? How's your appetite? Like, if I start seeing those things change and start hearing those things, my athlete's overtraining. And what should I do? I don't give them a complete day off. I just go ahead and give them a little bit of lighter intensity, actually get them into movement work, right? And that's something that I've been really big learning about through Training Think Tank. One of my that's my coach. He programs for me through Training Think Tank, Adam Rogers. And I'm taking their coaches course right now, their Training Think Tank coaches course.
Oh, nice.
They just put out first part of their course is called the movement course. And Max explains the elephant. He goes, we have the Kelly starrettes, we have like the PRI type stuff. We have
what's PRI?
PRI, posterior restoration.
Okay.
All right, so the breathing stuff.
Okay.
We have that going on. You have massage therapists. You have movement specialists, right? Everyone thinks that they're all the right thing. Those are all just pieces of the elephant. You put it all together, you make you make the elephant,
right.
which leads the athlete into the right places.
For sure.
So the cool part about the movement course, it talks a lot about pain. It talks about the central nervous system. It talks about stresses induced in the body and how to control that.
Yeah.
So for instance, I had like the Opens around right now, right? It's about to be over. Everyone's been doing it for 4 weeks, super hard. People have done it once, 2, 3 times workouts.
The CrossFit Open.
The CrossFit Open, right? Yep. They've been doing workouts twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. I've seen athletes do it 4 times a week. Not me, none of my athletes, but I've heard and seen athletes say they've done it 4 times.
Oh, I've done a workout 4 times.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get my score up.
So right, trying to get your score up, right? Yep. And like, yeah, is it like realistically, like what that does to your body for the long haul? It just puts you, and you overtrain there, and that just puts you into the sympathetic states where you can't recover fast enough for the next workout. Again, the CrossFit Open is a 5-week competition of where you have to go hard as possible at every single workout you do. Well, the 5th week, coming into the 5th week, I'm not gonna lie to you, no matter what you're doing for your athletes are gonna feel beat up and overrun, right? So that's where
it'll put a stake in your conditioning. It'll put a stake in programming.
Exactly, right? So that's where the coach now comes in. And this is where I'm really big on individual programming. I don't believe in template programming. I've been on template programming, and it's led me to injury, and it's led me to overtraining.
Same.
And I'm not a fan of it.
Yep.
And that's when I said I'm not doing template programming for my athletes. Whenever I pick an individual athlete, it's all individual based, and it's catered to their weaknesses.
Yep.
But for instance, I'll use my guys here. I have a super young competitive CrossFitters here in my gym here, CrossFit Double Barrel, super young, but they're doing really well for what I expect of them.
Yep.
Right. Again, I tell them, don't care about your numbers, don't care about where you're ranking in the gym as a whole. Your progression right now from when I first got you guys as you started coming in has been amazing. The mindset of it is all great. I'm seeing what we need to work on and keep going from there.
So what metrics are you looking for?
For these guys, they're super young. As I look at them, right, we go into the Open, I see it. Right now, all my athletes have a very good conditioning base, but they're not strong. Right? So you go into the snatch workout, none of my guys are able to get in 225 because they're not strong enough. But a lot of my guys stayed between that 13 to 15 minute workout for 17.1 where they have the mental grind to go.
Yeah.
That just lets me know they have a mental grind. They did really well on the bar muscle up workout and the toes bar workout. Why? Because their gymnastics was good.
Yep.
And their engine was good.
Right.
Again, it didn't bother them too much. Then I go and look at this past workout. Handstand push-ups, deadlift workout. Everyone got to the wall with 4 minutes. Their shoulders need to be stronger.
Yeah.
That lets me know an athlete needs to be stronger. So my guys in my gym, my girls in my gym, just need to be stronger. That's what I need to focus on this coming season.
Yep.
Does that mean I'm taking away from their conditioning and their gymnastics? No, but I need to make my guys stronger. And that's how you got to look at training aspect of it all. So when we go back to overtraining, I saw them. I was gone for a week and a half, and I just got back on Monday. Came in, I saw them. Someone were like, "Hey, my elbow's bothering me." Like, "Hey, I'm just not mentally there."
Yep.
I'm like, "All right, cool." Guess what they did on Tuesday? They did 60 minutes of movement work of their heart rate below 120 beats per minute.
Nice.
That means they were on the air assault bike at a super slow pace for 3 minutes.
Yep.
Got off, did some kind of locomotion work, which is I've learned through the movement course. Edel Portel.
Yep.
You probably heard of him before.
Yeah.
Kind of put some of that stuff in there along with just to move, keep their heart rate super low, which helps keep them in a parasympathetic state. And doing that kind of stuff kind of opens up the prefrontal cortex, which controls movement and lets you kind of open your body to do new things. And I did that for them for 60 minutes on Tuesday. They came in like, "Oh, I got to do this." I'm like, "Do it. Just do it." Like, this is the first time I put that into their programming. I do it to my individual athletes.
You have to do that with elite or driven athletes.
Yeah, and all my athletes. And like these guys in here are young. Man, I think my oldest guy in the team right now here is like 22. He just started. They all just started. The gym's only been 18 months, and I have individual athletes who are doing really well in the Open and whatnot, but I had to go that route. So I put 60 minutes of movement working for them, and they came back yesterday all ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
I still kept the training load light, recharge, ready to roll, ready to rock and roll. Today's their day off, and then come back and hit it hard tomorrow.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not worried about the now. I'm looking long term for these guys. So when we go back to overtraining, the less you have your athletes overtraining, the longer these athletes are going to be able to train and be able to do what they want. Again, to a certain extent, should an athlete touch overtraining a little bit? Yes, but not too long. They need to touch it and then come back.
Yeah.
And that's just the adaptation of it all. And then they go ahead and continue going forward, and that's how they get better. But again, an athlete should not be overtraining for a week or 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, because then you end up just becoming worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
one point I would like to touch on that real quick is that when people are trying to get healthy and they're trying to get in fitness, this is the problem that I have with all of these like Instagram models in this new age, they're all like pushing get my 13-week booty blaster program or my 6-week get fit program. And the problem is that to be healthy, to be fit, to be trained, to do whatever you want, like you are a human, and there's all of the pieces that you just touched on really, if you want to do it effectively, need to be taken into account. And so, I would say if you're listening to this and you're somebody that is interested in getting healthy or interested in getting fit or interested in training for CrossFit or whatever, that stay away from those templated programs. Look for something like yourself where and even a lot of people do online programming and it's still templated. Like I've run into that before, when really at the end of the day, like you need a coach that's willing to look at all of the lifestyle factors, like all of the different pieces that you just mentioned, and are going to take those into account when they're programming for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I look at those 13-week booty blasters and I look at the 6-week stuff, and it works for 5% of the people that do it out of the 100% people that take it.
Sure.
And the same thing on CrossFit template programs. Again, there's certain athletes who are doing really well off it, and there's certain athletes who are not. But again, I'll tell you this: for any athlete who's looking to do something, trust the process of it all, and understand it's going to take longer than 18 months to get results that you want.
Yeah.
You'll see progress. Yeah. But you'll also see that you're not going to see progress for a couple months, and you'll see progress again. Again, the goal is not to have this spike and then drop off. The goal is to have this small climb with a little bit of ups and downs, but to continue going. Again, we talked about mindset. And it's going to build the mindset and keep them positive. It's going to keep them healthy. At the long time, and in the long run, they're end up going to see the positive changes from where they're at to where they are now. Well, for instance, we'll use Kaylee, right? She's one of your models or sponsored athletes. I can say
Kaylee Wagner.
Kaylee Wagner, right? She's been with me since 2014, 2015. It's 2017 now.
Yeah.
When I first picked her up, she was barely clean and jerking 200 pounds or 205.
Yeah.
4 weeks ago, we clean and jerked 105 kilos, which is 230 pounds.
Hell yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she just power cleaned yesterday. I just posted a video of her doing it. She just power cleaned and jerked 205 pounds. Like,
nice.
Right? Like, that's 3 years of work that I put on her.
Yeah.
But it took 3 years to go from 205 to that. That's only 25 pounds in 3 years. Mm-hmm. A lot of times athletes nowadays, when we look at Instagram and social media and all that good stuff, everyone sees everyone doing this and this and that, and everyone's getting stronger. Oh, they need to be on that program because they're doing that well. When, one, they don't know what their coach is, how long they've been with their coach. Two, they don't know what drugs are on. I'm going to say that, right? That's where it's at.
Oh, yeah.
We're naive if we don't believe it. Yeah. What drugs are on, how they're living their life.
Performance enhancement drugs.
Yeah, performance enhancement drugs.
Yep.
What's their lifestyle like? Again, what are the stressors in their life? Are they working a 9-to-5 job? Are they in the gym coaching 5 in the morning, 10 a.m., and then doing one-on-ones with athletes and then has to train hard?
Yeah.
No one knows that, but everyone just sees the good things that those athletes are doing for that short amount of time. They don't see the negative effects that they're getting or the negative days or the bad days that they're having to give them those good days. So that's one thing I really believe on. Trust the process, and the athletes nowadays need to really invest into what they're doing before they jump onto with a coach.
Yeah, that's a problem with that. That's like one of the shitty sides of social media is, you cannot compare your everyday life to somebody's highlight reel, which is what Instagram is going to be 10 times out of 10.
Yep.
Nobody's going to, some people do, and somehow they make that even seem glamorous, but like people will post like, oh, shitty day, everything went wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you have to be careful about that.
No, yeah, definitely. But yeah, like I said, that just tells you right there, like it's a long-term process.
Yeah.
To continue getting where you're at. And even then, right, the athlete sometimes still doesn't think that they're progressing. When you look back, all right, well, how did we look a year ago? I was only doing this, but now I'm doing this. For instance, we'll use an example of a year ago, we had an athlete who was snatching 100 pounds. And then a year later, they were snatching 100 pounds for reps in a workout.
Right.
Like, that's progress. But you're like, oh, but my snatch has only gone up 15 pounds. What more do you want? Like, you work 8 to 5. You come in here, train for an hour.
Right.
Right? And now you're doing 100 pounds snatch in a workout, and your best is 115. I think that's progress, and I think that's good.
For sure.
Yeah. But most athletes don't see it that way.
Yeah. Well, we live in a society of instant gratification.
Yep.
With fast food, with everything. And that's something that you touched on earlier is like, at least like looking at Kaylee's journey is, 25 pounds in 3 years. People don't want to, and I fall victim to this myself. People do not want to delay gratification.
Yep.
People want it right now, and that's like the allure to performance enhancement drugs.
Yeah.
Is you'll get really fast, really quick,
Yep.
or really strong, really fast. But what happens is when you skip the process, you run into problems.
Yes.
At least I found.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's huge. I mean, you can run into problems, and we talk about what kind of problems do we run into. I mean,
yeah. I mean, well, like if you look at performance enhancement drugs, like I have no issue with steroids at all. I don't give a shit what people do with their time and their body or their life. But if you get really strong really fast, you're going to run into problems like your tissue is not going to be strong enough, fast enough. It's not going to progress with your muscle, right? And so then people get pec tears, people get, MCL or ACL tears.
Back problems.
Yeah, like your structure hasn't grown to support this in time. On top of that, there's so many things that can go wrong. Compartment syndrome, whatever. And those are the things you need to be aware. Like, you can almost never really truly, there's like the shortcuts really don't exist, so if you're somebody that wants to get fit or wants to get through a selection process or whatever, however you define success in the immediate, you have to be willing to just put your nose to the ground.
Yeah, you need to put your nose to the ground and work fucking hard and be okay with working fucking hard every single day.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean you go into the gym and go 110% all the fucking time, or you go somewhere else and do that. No.
Right.
Be smart about it.
Yeah, you got to shoulder the shitty days too, right?
You got to exactly shoulder the shitty days and shoulder the good days. Like, it doesn't matter. But yeah, like you said, I see that all the time. We see athletes who get really, people are like, man, how'd the athlete get so good so fast? They do really good for a year. Where'd they go?
Yep, right.
All right, because again, when an athlete gets really good really fast, no matter if they're on performance enhancing drugs or if they just saw very beginner gains, if they don't mentally understand that, hey, all right, I might have a shitty year coming up, or I might have life hit me in the face, they're going to walk away from this very upset and a very negative and bad taste in their mouth.
Yep.
I'm gonna go back to Kaylee again. Like, I remember Kaylee when she started going through school, and I picked her up, and she was going through some of her main classes or whatever else. I had to cut her back to 4 days of training. And I can't tell you, she hated it.
I bet.
She fucking hated it. But I had to get her back to 4 days of training because school was stressing her out. And she wasn't getting into the gym how she wanted to. The gym was becoming a stressor to her because she was like, how am I supposed to get to the gym? And I remember this like the back of my hand. It was after a competition at a CrossFit. What's that gym? I forgot the name. It was down in San Diego.
Is it Oli? Was it an Olympic lifting competition?
No, it was CrossFit. This is when she was a CrossFit at the time.
Okay.
I forgot the name of the gym, but she had just done a team comp, whatever else. And she was really upset with how she performed. And, I came up to her, I was like, hey, dude, what's going on? Like, why are you upset about how you performed? You took second place at this comp, whatever else. And she was like, I just didn't have fun today. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, why didn't you have fun? She's like, I got this going on. I got school going on. I'm trying to rush myself to get into the gym, and I'm like, all right, how long are you in class all day? And she's like, I'm there. This had just changed. Her semester had just getting ready to come up and change. So we had to change right away. And I was like, all right, we're putting you to 4 days of training. And she was like, what, why? I don't want to. And I was like, no, we go to 4 days of training.
Yeah.
And she was like, all right. I was like, hey, just trust it, dude. She ended up finishing top 30 in SoCal that year.
Yeah.
Training from 4 days a week from January all the way through the Open, because I controlled the stressor that was going into that, right?
Yeah.
And let her have fun. We mentally built her. And again, because we controlled the training volume, knowing you can still go hard, but you're only going to be able to do it for 4 days,
right? And
use that to your advantage positively and see the effects of it. And she did really well. But yeah, like you said, that's just huge. No matter what drugs you're taking, no matter what you're doing, no matter what program you're on, if you don't work hard, you're not going to see the result that you want.
Right. And that'll happen with body composition too, because when I was training, actually it was when I was getting ready for the Granite Games, my coach, I was training like 6 days a week at a very minimum, twice a day. And I felt pretty, like outwardly, I was like fine to continue the volume, but for whatever, I looked like shit. Like I was like carrying a little bit of extra weight. And my coach pulled me back. He was like, all right, I went to 4 days of twice a week. And then the other 2 days were literally like active, like you mentioned, below a certain heart rate. My body composition increased because all of a sudden I wasn't getting that cortisol like released all the time.
Yeah.
And my body just responded like very well.
Very well. Yeah. And that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen athletes do it. I've even seen myself do it. I mean, I went from weightlifting for 3.5 years back to CrossFit for a little bit. And, I went from weighing 217 pounds as a weightlifter, and I'm sitting around 215 now, but my body composition has changed more. Because when I was weightlifting, like you said, I was training super hard at all times. And I go to CrossFit now, and I'm sitting here and I'm training. Maybe I think I have 2 hard days a week, and I have, the way I look at it, yeah, some days I have 2 hard days a week. Right now in the open, my hard days are on a Monday, and my hard days are either whatever day I do the open workout, if it's on a Monday or if it's on a Friday, and everything else is either moderate or low days. So I'm able to recover, like you talked about,
right,
and kind of get that recovery and then the body composition, which I've seen change quite a bit.
Is there a work to rest ratio that you recommend starting with? For example, Jim Jones, like I talked about, they're the first to say, like, oh, you should work out 3 days a week and take 1 off. So it's 3 on, 1 off.
Yeah, I believe in that. The model that CrossFit came out with, 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off.
Or maybe that was CrossFit model.
Yeah, it was CrossFit model, right? I really believe in that. That's a really good motto. One thing we do push to our new members here that join the gym is train 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Take Friday off and then come in on Saturday and do the community WOD so they can build that community.
Yeah.
Once they kind of feel that 3 days a week for the first month, we kind of let them, all right, hey, you should push this. Again, they're going to do what they want.
Yep.
But that's what we push to them. So 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, kind of get the muscle soreness out and then right back at it. So it's kind of like where I look at it as.
Yeah, I wrote an article about human potential, I think is what I called it, but about this. What happens is, like, as a human, based on society, based on the way that society has structured itself with a 5-day work week, a lot of times, even people start out with the best of intentions, which are, I want to be fit, so I'm going to do CrossFit. I want to work hard, so I'm going to work hard in my job professionally, right? And what happens is, so we go to work Monday through Friday, and we get up at 5 a.m. to go do CrossFit, some of us, or we'll go to work and then we'll go to CrossFit, and then we'll have a little bit of workload, so we'll finish that night. But what happens is we go Monday through Friday, and then Friday hits, and we're like, we have to reward ourselves, or we're like, fucking, I'm blowing off stress, so we go out and we drink, right? And then Saturday we recover, and then Sunday we get ready for the week and we do it over. And so something that started out with the best of intentions is like absolute terrible fucking schedule as far as actually increasing human potential.
Yeah.
Because we are, we're not recovering when we should. We're, you just have to be careful about, like, sometimes we start out with the best of intentions.
Yeah.
But we don't pay enough attention to the lifestyle factors.
No, that's huge, right? Like, that's massive. If someone that works an 8 to 5 job sitting down all day comes in and CrossFits all day, like you said, and then goes ahead and goes out and parties all night.
Yep.
You're not, what you just did for that hour,
right,
just turned it into the 8 hours of stress that you just put on your body.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Right.
If you're going to live the lifestyle of fitness with a balance, but don't go out and be retarded and party every single night, or party Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
And think you're going to see results and the rewards that you want. Yeah. So we're just minimizing our human potential of where we want to go.
Very much so. Yeah, and people get like, oh, fucking paleo, bro. And it's like, dude, you think cavemen sat at a desk for 8 hours and they did Fran and then they drank? Like,
yeah, no.
You're wrecking what we were meant to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny we're talking about that. I remember when I first started, like, playing around with paleo and kind of looking into it, there was an article I read talking about how a lot of athletes overeat fats and undereat carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. And kind of when they come in to train, let's say they go to work all day, and then they train and they're sticking to this paleo diet, whatever else, and they start eating very minimal carbohydrates, but they have a lot of fats in their system. By the time they come to Friday, they can't even train the way they want because the stress of work, of training, and under eating actually hits them, right? The lack of carbohydrates, and everyone's afraid of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are a wonderful thing if you do it the right way.
Sure.
But yeah, like that goes back to it again, human performance. We talk about that. Hey, be smart about it, live the lifestyle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was what me and Andy, Dr. Andy Galpin, just talked about today. It's like, you can't be very dogmatic in your approach to anything. Nutrition especially, though. You get these rules, these structures, like, I'm only going to be this or I'm only going to be that, and you end up fucking yourself over the long term.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people that follow you and that follow SOFlete definitely are interested in going to a selection or being some form of a tactical athlete, whether that's a firefighter or a cop or whatever that is. Is there a training regimen that you recommend for people that are a tactical athlete? For example, CrossFit. Would you say if you're some flavor of tactical athlete, CrossFit would be best for you, or?
Well, I'm gonna be biased because I work for SOFlete and I am SOFlete. I coach for SOFlete.
Yeah.
The way we do program for the tactical athlete caters to the tactical athlete. Okay. I mean, when I say that, right, we look at the tactical athlete. They either work 24 to 48 hour shifts and they're off for 3 or 4 days. You have a guy who's on deployment or who's in the field for however long.
Yep.
You're in such a high sympathetic state for so long that you can't come back and just drive your nose into the ground 24/7. Well, the cool thing about the way we kind of program for SOFlete and the way we focus on it is to make sure you're recovered enough to get in there and train just as hard as you wanted to train the day prior. So, yes, can you follow CrossFit? Yes.
Right.
But if you're a tactical athlete, I really believe that you have to follow something that's catered towards a tactical athlete. And that's where I'm going to go. And again, I said I'm biased because I work for SOFlete and I coach for them and I program for them. And we do a very good job of keeping these athletes healthy, keeping them seeing strength gains and see them train for their life. I mean, I could tell you a number of times where I've gotten multiple messages, Instagram DMs about how awesome we are keeping these guys recovered and seeing the transition into life and into their job. I mean, there's one guy that hit me up about a month ago saying, he's like, hey man, I weigh 165 pounds. I just deadlifted 400 for 5. I run, I run a sub 7 mile. Okay. I'm a SWAT guy. And I just hit a house up where it was a drug raid, knocked the door down with my foot. The other guys on my team couldn't do it. They weigh 185 pounds. I weigh 165 pounds. I came in and kicked the door down. Yeah. And the guy was actually behind the door, knocked him down, and got to take him out that way. Like, what more do you want? Knowing, hey, the way we program is focusing on, make sure you're recovering, make sure you're getting the strength gains that you need to see. At the same time, though, understand that you need to have that long aerobic base. Yep. And I do a lot of strongman stuff with my tactical athletes, a lot of rotational type stuff also. Yep. Because
completely agree.
Why? Yep. They need to have it. Yep. So CrossFit, if you can't afford, to go to a CrossFit gym and do your open gym programming and follow SOFlete, then yes, go to a CrossFit gym and train CrossFit. Yeah. But I'm like I said, I'm gonna be biased and go, hey, go to SOFlete. We have multiple programs on there that you can follow, and we're always answering questions for those guys all the time, and we put out content for these guys where they help them. Hey, I just got off a shift for 24 hours, feel beat up. What should I do? Yep. Hey, how about you go home, go to sleep for the night or day, eat some food, you're off for the next 3 days, and then go and jump back on the program and train. Yep. Instead of being like, no, go to the gym and hit it hard right now. And that's what ends up happening. So, I mean, I have a tactical athlete who is a CrossFitter. And I have to, pretty much what I do for him is I find out his schedule, and I'm like, all right, cool, here's 5 workouts for you. You get these 5 workouts done in the week. No matter how competitive you want to be or whatever else, but this allows him not to stress about training. This allows him to go ahead and get it to work. If he has free time during work, nothing's going on as a firefighter, he can do his training session, right? I make sure I give him small pieces here, longer pieces here. And when he's off, he knows when he gets off of work, he has to at least sleep 8 hours after he's off. Yeah. Before he trains. He knows that. And if he does, it's on him, but it's integrity. Be a good human being and fucking stick to the plan. Yeah, exactly. So that's one of those things. So
that's a hard thing with coaching too, whether people are actually doing what you say, and then when they're like, oh, I'm not getting results, like, are you actually doing what the fuck I'm telling you to do?
Yeah, definitely.
But what you hit on right there, which is something I really feel strongly about, which is if you are a tactical athlete, this is where it's highlighted the most. If you are a tactical athlete, your workout is not the highlight of your day or life. You're working out in order to enhance other things like your life and your job, especially when life or death is your job.
Right? And I consider a tactical athlete a general athlete where he needs to do everything or she needs to do everything and anything. Yep. So yes, like you're not training to be a CrossFit Games athlete. Exactly. You're training to be the best firefighter, the best law enforcement officer. You're the best soft guy, whatever.
You're training to come home alive.
Exactly, and keep the other guys alive. Yeah. And I think a lot of people get away from that. I think a lot of tactical athletes kind of get away from that. But what's cool is things like SOFlete, and all the other, military athlete type things, all those guys, we're doing a very good job right now of teaching everyone that and having them come that route. Again, we're not trying to change, CrossFitters into tactical athletes, but we are trying to make sure our tactical athletes are not becoming CrossFitters.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that make sense? Yeah, like
when I was a new guy, I was like, when you go in, this is good for anyone. When you go into a special forces community, at first, the only thing people are going to know about you is how fit you are, like how you do at a PT, right? Yeah. If you crush it, people are going to pull you into their platoon or team or whatever, and that's going to start your reputation. And your reputation in these communities is fucking everything.
Everything, yep.
Right? So I remember going into these PTs, like we'd have these PTs in the morning and I would fucking crush it. But then I'd get out on the boats and like when it came to like racking a 50 cal to shoot 20,000 rounds over and over was like rough. And I remember my boss essentially had to sit me down and be like, hey man, why are you working out? And I'm like, well, dude, I'm a fucking meat eater. What do you mean why? You don't have to ask a meat eater why he works out.
Yeah.
And he's like, no man, if you work out, it's so that you can do this job better, so that we can go on deployment and come home alive. So if your workouts are crushing you to the point where you're doing this job worse, you're fucked up.
You're fucked up. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of the times tactical athletes don't have a path or guidance to actually train for their their life or for their job.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was training for recon school, all I did was run, swim, and push-ups and pull-ups because that's what the selection was about, right? And everyone's like, that's all you got to do. But then all of a sudden, you put a heavy ruck on my back. I can't move with it, right? So why would I train just for selection? I need to train for not just selection, but everything after that. And like you said, right, your boss fucking was spot on.
Right.
Hey, dude, you're training for yourself to do your job and to bring your brothers back. You're not training to go into the gym and just look fucking good sexy.
Right, exactly.
There's no need. A tactical athlete doesn't need to look good sexy. Again, does it come with the job? If you train your ass hard enough in the right ways and you eat properly and you live the lifestyle, like it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you right now, there is no SOF operator right there that is operating right now that has a six-pack. And I could be wrong. Like there might be a couple but those guys that are actually
typically genetics.
Right there, right? Because most of the time, what are you eating when you're on operation? And if you're not those guys that are kicking the doors in for 4 hours or else and then coming back, if you're those soft guys who are on a green side hide, sitting there for 3 to 4 days, eating MREs all the time,
right.
like that doesn't happen. But you trained yourself to be able to hike with that ruck and patrol with that ruck on your back and keep your head up and not have it bother you. And it's just another another day in the job of being able to patrol with that ruck on your back and do what you have to do.
Yeah.
Then I'm doing something right, and my coach and the coaches are doing something right, or you're doing something right when you're following your training.
Mm. Yeah, and that doesn't even the other part about having a six pack being operators, you have that doesn't even say anything for your endocrine system, which is shot to hell.
Yeah.
Your testosterone, which is in the dirt because you work at night, and then you try to work out and all these different things.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
definitely.
So you mentioned strongman was one of the things which I think you're spot on putting into tactical fitness.
Yep.
What other disciplines do you find important or unimportant?
Like I said, a tactical athlete's a general athlete, so they need to be doing everything. Mm-hmm. Gymnastics. I program gymnastics into tactical athletes programming. That is to strengthen connective tissue in the joints, focusing on isometric holds, learning how to control the midline and the pelvis.
Yeah.
I've seen too many tactical athletes who don't have very good pelvic control because they don't have body awareness.
Yeah.
Right? They're just so used to putting this rug on their back. Everything comes forward.
Yep. Takes
away from the midline. They just just completely bad. So I actually believe in putting gymnastics into a tactical athletes program.
Yeah.
Is huge. And then what else did you ask? You asked about other principles I like putting in there.
Yeah, other disciplines that you like to put into.
Gymnastics is big.
For example, I and you could agree or disagree, but I think if you're a tactical athlete, learning a snatch is not the most important thing, right?
That's okay, cool. So like I don't have a tactical athlete power snatch or snatch.
Okay.
Or overhead squat.
Nice, me either.
No,
that's cool.
No, let's not do that.
Yeah.
But you're gonna power clean. You're gonna hang power clean. Mm-hmm. You're gonna do some hang squat cleans.
Yep.
You're gonna do that stuff. You're gonna do a thruster.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna do those things. But as the weightlifting side of things, I will not program power snatch. That's just not needed. Not for the tactical athlete. Again, it's one of those things where, it's cool to have that mobility and be able to do all that stuff, but are you really going to use that for your job?
Right.
I don't see that, no. But like I said, I go back to gymnastics, right? When you get to jump over a wall, if you can't do a bar muscle up, how are you able to go and get over that wall? Like, that's an example I kind of use.
Exactly.
Now, handstand push-ups, will I program handstand push-ups? No. Mm-hmm. Will I program a handstand hold for time? Yes. Mm-hmm. There's going to be times where I got to hold my buddy overhead to help get him, reach him overhead and those kind of things.
Yeah.
But yes, that's kind of how I think about it. But snatch now.
Yeah, I like that. We're on the same page.
I love a lot of sandbag work. I put a lot of sandbag work into tactical athletes program.
Yeah, that awkward strength, it cannot be said
night and day.
How good that is. Yeah.
If I tell you what, it was funny. If I was doing how I'm programming now for tactical athletes when I was in, I would be a completely different operator.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Right? Like you'd be a completely different operator.
Yeah.
I got introduced to this stuff in 2010. You know, as I got introduced to in 2010 is when I started kind of growing and doing all this stuff. Now it's 2007, doing it 7 years.
Right.
And I look back at it and it's like, man, if I was going through selection or before selection, I would have done all that stuff. You know, building a strong strength base for the tactical athlete and still building that aerobic capacity at the same time. Multiple different, your different planes of the athlete, along with rotation, overhead work, overhead stability, single arms, false grip holds, just all those kind of things, and grip strength is huge.
Yeah,
teaching the athlete how to like use their full body, because they don't. Mm-hmm. All they know is one way, and that's it.
Yeah. So the Lionheart kicker is the final question we try to ask. If you could give a piece of advice, and it was guaranteed that everybody in the world would hear it. It would be translated to every language. You know, they might not all follow it, but they would definitely hear it. What piece of advice would you give?
That's a good one, dude.
Yeah.
Top of my head, I don't want to sound corny, but most of the time I come back to, and something I always say to all my athletes is, and even to the tactical athlete, is what I was born to: adapt to adverse conditions at all times. Mm-hmm. All right, and be okay with being uncomfortable.
Yep.
And turn it into a strength of yours.
Without a doubt.
If you can't turn an adverse condition into a strength, you're not going to go nowhere.
Completely agree.
That's something of advice I can give somebody.
Yeah. Adversity will always be a proving grounds for strong people. Yep. Awesome, man. Well, for people that are listening, people that are interested in either your online programming or the tactical athlete side of it, or even just supporting and following along with what you're doing, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at GB3 Athletics. You can find me on Facebook at GB3 Athletics, or myself, George Briones, on Facebook. Mm-hmm. You can find us on CrossFit Double Barrel. You can also find me at SOFlete. And then email-wise, if you're looking to contact me, you can find me at gb3athletics@gmail.com. And I respond to my emails pretty quick. I'm pretty much on it all the time. So If anybody have any questions, talk about being an athlete, go ahead and hit me up on there. I'm actually getting ready to open up new spots for athletes coming up here after they open.
For coaching for your
for online coaching. Awesome. Yeah. So there's a lot of potential out there that for GB3 Athletics continue growing, and we're going to continue growing.
Okay. Thanks for being on, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Lionheart Radio. Subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. And don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. For all of your supplement needs and for show notes, visit luaviv.com.